Have you ever wondered how spacecrafts get to a higher orbit, the Moon, Mars, and beyond using minimum energy?
Well, in that case, we need to understand the Hohmann Transfer orbit. It's the most energy efficient method to move between orbits.
But what is an orbit?
An orbit is a gravitationally curved path that a celestial body or a spacecraft follows around a star, planet, or a moon, and it could be circular or elliptical. It's like how this object circles my hand because of the tension of the string.
Hohmann transfer is basically changing our current orbit to a higher orbit using minimum amount of energy.
Let's say we are in low Earth orbit and we want to go to a higher orbit. First, we need to fire our engines forward to raise our orbit on the opposite end and make it more elliptical. When we reach the apogee or the highest point of orbit, we need to reorient our spacecraft and fire our engines again forward to circularize our orbit. The same principle was used to get humans on the moon, but it takes about 3 days to get there. So instead of aiming on where the moon is during launch, we need to aim on where it will be when we get there. Now, even though we are starting to be pulled by the moon's gravity, we still need to flip our spacecraft and fire our engines in reverse to slow us down and get into orbit. And then, we can choose a spot to land, burn our engines in reverse, and come down to the lunar surface.
Now, how do we get to Mars?
First of all, we'll need a rocket that could escape the Earth's gravity. The Earth and Mars constantly orbit the Sun. Sometimes they're very close to each other and sometimes they're very far. But there is a right timing for rocket launches to Mars where the two planets are just in the right position. It is when the Earth is slightly behind Mars, and it happens every 26 months. Now, to get to Mars, we just need to fire our engines to raise our orbit until we intercept Mars at some point of its orbit around here. This maneuver is known as the trans-Mars injection. We will coast for most of the mission and the journey would take about 7 months. When our spacecraft reaches Mars, it could either slow down and get into orbit or land on the Martian surface.
That's Hohmann transfer, and that's how you can get to a higher orbit, the Moon, or even Mars. But why do we even need to understand Hohmann transfer, and why do we need to travel to other celestial bodies? Well, for one reason, there are so many resources in space that we could use to benefit lives here on Earth. And in the future, humanity could become extinct due to a global catastrophe.
That's why colonization of other bodies in the solar system like Mars is the ultimate backup, and we should start colonizing now.
And to get to other celestial bodies, we need to use minimum energy, hence, Hohmann transfer. Another reason is that humans were never meant to stay in one place, in our case, the Earth.
We need to extend our presence on other planets or other regions in space to make humanity a real spacefaring civilization.